One thing that Grand Theft Auto 5 did when it came out was the unique mechanic of almost feeling like each of the three playable characters had their own lives that they were living when you were playing as one of them. So, like,
Mhm.
you would play as Michael and you would zoom out and play as, what's his name? Trevor.
Mhm.
You'd pivot to Trevor, and Trevor's doing something crazy in his trailer, like he's getting wasted or something, and you get to play as him. And like, I think the unique mechanic of them all doing like living their own unique lives, and you can bounce between the three. That was a really, really cool mechanic that I wish more developers would take on. But I'm interested to see how they adapt something like that that was so unique in 2013 to now upgraded technology within 2026. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 10 of the Millennial Button Mashers podcast. If you guys are carrying over from last week's episode where we started the conversation around 2026 and the video games that we wanted to talk about and wanted to highlight for 2026, we started that episode with January through June, the releases that were coming out, and also like a special mention to Bradley the Badger. We don't know when that's coming out, but we're hopeful. We wanted to talk about it. So we talked about it in the previous episode. So just know that that will probably be missing from our conversation today, even if it comes out later in 2026 with a official release. But now we're going to be talking a little bit more about the games that are going to be coming around July through December. Again, one thing I should have called out in the last episode, all this is subject to change. One thing that we've learned recently about video game development is that, like GTA 6 that we'll talk about today, inevitably, that's been moved 3 times. Any of these other games could be moved as well. So just keep that in mind. Gavin and I don't have our little crystal balls in front of us, that probably in a closet somewhere, but we are just going based off the information that we know today. So that's what we're basing this off of. So any deadlines or timelines that we're going to release today, just keep in mind, take that with a grain of salt. We obviously don't know if they will be releasing, but that's what information we have as of the recording of this episode today.
Yeah,
Right?
looking at you, Rockstar.
Yeah, exactly. So cool. Let's start with Phantom Blade Zero. This one is coming out on September 9th. And this one actually caught my eye. I want to say at the Game Awards or maybe at previous like PlayStation releases or anything like that. But it's a new fast-paced action RPG that looks just insane graphically. From a gameplay perspective, it looks very chaotic. For those that are tuning in with us on YouTube, Gavin's got his screen shared just to walk through this trailer. But I think the one thing that got me the most was the art style, but also the unique boss designs and how cinematic it seems. You guys will be able to see that in the YouTube channel. If you guys haven't already subscribed, feel free to do so, but it's in there. We're watching it right now. But basically, the way that the gameplay seems to work is you're kind of a masked assassin, let's say, or some kind of samurai like warrior. And essentially, you're battling these very intricate bosses in this like beautiful, kind of grim world. And I think what caught my eye the most with this one is the unique game mechanic of it kind of mixing between like cinematic kills with also very fast gameplay. And also, the bosses here have been some of the craziest that I've ever seen. So, like, I don't know if it will show it on the trailer, but there is a boss in here where he's basically hanging from like these ropes or like trapezes, and he's like cutting down on you, and you have to basically like fight him while he's in the air. And I think there's a certain part where he comes down and whatever, but it's just something that you
Mhm.
really don't see very often in video game design is like these unique bosses. And again, like just how fast the gameplay seems to be. I will say that when I first saw this, my head went towards, oh, this is a Soulsborne or a Bloodborne-esque video game. It's not. The video game developers have actually said that this is more of like an action RPG style game, not necessarily like a Souls-like. So just keep that in mind.
Interesting.
Yeah, because when you first look at it, that's kinda where I think a lot of people's heads go with just, like, the way that it looks aesthetically from what we can see so far. And I also will say too, the people that have gotten their hands on this at, like, conventions and other game, announcements and things like that, they have had very skeptical opinions on this prior to playing it at these game releases and conventions, but everybody is saying this is actually a real game. This is how it actually plays. And that actually makes me feel a little bit better because there's there's been so many companies that say like, "Oh, marketing wise, this is going to be the best action RPG you've ever played in your life, and this is what it looks like, and this is how beautiful it is," and that comes out, and it's like, you know what I mean? So I'm very excited to see what this comes to be, and yeah, excited to play it. September 9th is when this one's coming out. Gavin, any initial reactions from you on this one?
Yeah, while watching the trailer here, seeing the some of the unique fighting styles, like it showed you fighting against a boss who was doing like a drunken monk style. Like he
Hmm.
would like you see him like chug a bottle of what I presume to be alcohol, and then he's doing like stumbling around and doing like a drunken monk style of fighting where it's like chaotic movement. And then that showed, I'm assuming it seems like after you beat a boss you kind of like take their style from them, because it showed you later in the trailer doing that style yourself. That's a cool concept. Yeah, this just looks like an interesting game. When you first brought it up for this episode, in the research for this episode, based on the name, I kind of thought it was going to be like another like Metal Gear Solid name, because isn't that kind of like Phantom Blade Zero? That sounds like another like Metal Gear Solid. Couldn't be
It
further
does,
from
yeah,
that.
yeah, 100%, yeah,
Yeah, and then I was initially thinking it was going to be a blood or a Soulsborne, Bloodborne Souls-like type game,
yeah. Aesthetically,
but
it looks like it for sure,
yeah, aesthetically, it looks like it's got the frustrating boss styles, especially with that unique mechanics. That sounds cool. The trailer we saw here didn't show that marionette style one you were talking about, but that seems cool and interesting. As long as it's got a good story, I think it'll be able to suck me in. It's got the good art direction, and it looks like it's the fun, frustrating game style that I have shown to enjoy over the years. So if it's got a good story and good soundtrack, I'm pretty sure I'll end up getting it and playing it. So,
for sure. I mean, and as you can see on the trailer here, just how fast this gameplay looks is somewhat
hmm
scary to me, like, at how fast this gameplay could quickly get out of hand, but I also feel like if they really lean into it and make it unique to your point, Gavin, of, like, the story really playing into that and, like, how badass of a character this is, like, that could be really cool.
hmm
So, we'll see how it goes,
yeah,
but
yeah, that
excited to
one
see it
seems
comes out.
exciting for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Next one that we wanted to talk about is Marvel's Wolverine, and so this one is from Gavin and I's one of video the our favorite video game developers, Insomniac. This is coming out on September 15th, and this is actually recently had a deadline or a release date announced. But this is, for those not aware, creators of things like Ratchet and Clank, the incredible Spider Man 1, 2, and Miles Morales remakes that have come out in recent history. They've also done a lot of other video games, but those are kind of the noteworthy ones just to mention here. Again, September 15th is the release date that they just announced for us. I think these guys, as in the Insomniac developers, they clearly understand how to take beloved comic book characters and create a true to lore story. So I'm excited to see what kind of unique perspective they provide for Wolverine, because I don't feel like we've really had the opportunity to play as Wolverine in any other video games, at least not to my knowledge. And I think they're also very good at taking creative risks and liberties with the IP. Like if you go back to Spider-Man 1 and 2, both of those aren't necessarily like true to comic book or true to movie, but they did take creative liberties to fill in the gaps and take creative risk with the IP. So very excited to see what they'll do with that with Wolverine. Looks very bloody and gruesome, which is
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, that's what you want.
Exactly. For Wolverine, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
So, and I think this will fit the bill in terms of like the recent movies that have come out with like Deadpool versus Wolverine. That was a very bloody movie, very funny. But I'm excited to see like how they take the creativity from Insomniac and the recent like lore around Logan and Wolverine and kind of mesh the two together to make something unique.
yeah. I think I'm more interested to see what the story is going to be like, because
Yeah,
going into Spider-Man, I mean, if you know me at all, you know I'm a little bit of a big Spider-Man guy.
same.
I know pretty much like, I have very good idea of how Spider-Man stories are going to play out and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, there was only like there wasn't really much surprise overall with what happened with the Spider-Man story. It was incredible. I still think it's might be my favorite story that's been told,
For
like
sure.
in
In
like a
one or
video
two?
game or movie. In the first one, second
Okay.
one's pretty
Yep.
good as well. I think people hate
Yeah.
on it for silly reasons, but the first one I think is one of the best Spider-Man stories that has been told in modern times, like of
Agreed.
movie, TV show, video game, all that. Like the story's just incredible. But I don't know, like other than like X-Men stories, like I know stuff about like the X-Men. So I'm interested in this game purely because I want to see what they're gonna do with the story. Because Insomniac, like you said, took the what we loved about Spider-Man and kind of did an original story while pulling ideas from the comics and like of the past, and did an excellent job of weaving what we love about the character into the game while doing like like a somewhat original story. So I'll be interested to see how this Wolverine plays out, and like I want to see what the story's going to be, because like Logan is he's a very interesting character with a lot of different type of, like, I guess trauma is a word you could use, but like there's
Depth. Yeah.
a lot of different depth to him than there is to Peter Parker. Like they both have different types of struggles. So like I really want to see what they're going to do with that. And this is one of the reasons why I'm excited about that kind of game. And hopefully it does just as well as the other Spider-Man games, and then they can continue to make certain Marvel properties into games, cuz these are sweet.
Yeah, for sure. Well, actually, maybe a sidebar question for you on this one, Gavin. Like, if you had to think of outside of Spider-Man and Wolverine, the IP that Insomniac has not yet touched, what would be your go-to Marvel character that you would want
I
redone
think
by them?
one that would be fun, and it would be able to like even almost incorporate some of the Spider-Man stuff, would be like Daredevil, because it'd be similar New York story. It would be interesting to see how they would do that, because like obviously he's a blind character. Spoiler. But
Mhm.
I think Daredevil would be a fun one. You could have, because he shares a lot. Like you could almost bleed it into the Spider-Man a little bit,
Yeah.
because Kingpin, who's one of Spider-Man's greatest like enemies, becomes Daredevil's number one enemy. So you could almost like that's how you could almost like transition it to keep it like similar.
Yeah.
Or you could just go like way out of left field and do like Fantastic Four would be cool, because
That
then you
would be
could have
cool.
like four different characters up to that you could mess with. Or I mean, anything X-Men related would be cool, but the problem with X-Men is there's just so many characters, and I feel like it'd be hard to do them all good enough justice. Black Panther could be cool, because like that'd be going into like a whole different part of the world with Wakanda being in Africa. That would be a cool concept. You could even go. I think it would be interesting to go into like, you could almost do like a Dynasty Warriors style game. So this wouldn't be an Insomniac one, and this is like a total sidebar. But you could do like a Dynasty Warriors thing with like Loki and Thor. Like it would be like that style of game, but with like Norse mythology and all that. Like I think that could be cool. Yeah. I mean, like there's a lot of clearly ideas I have for Marvel intellectual properties that they could turn into games, but I guess if you kept it in the Insomniac world, I'd probably say Daredevil, because then you could even branch off into side characters with the Defenders being like Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and you could like put them as like secondary characters that end up working with you to stop a certain bad guy or something. And I think
Mhm.
that could be fun. But yeah,
That
and
would
then
be
you could even
fun.
throw Punisher in there, which that could be a
I think
really
there
gruesome
might
talk
be.
about.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, talk about a game that would be bloody, like compared to Wolverine. A Punisher game could be super, like you could almost make a Doom style game with that. And I don't think they would, just because of, I think that would be a touchy subject to make a true to form like Punisher game. But I think that would be fun.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say for me, there's actually 2 different branching things I would want Insomniac to do, and I'm gonna actually start with, like, my hot take one, which would be more around, like, why don't we have a game that focuses on you being the villain, like, as the main character? Because I don't think that's really been done very much. I mean, you kinda have that with what's it called? The Infamous series, like, you can be a bad, like anti-hero, whatever. But that's not
Mhm.
necessarily like true villain, in my opinion. One villain that would be really cool to play as, and I think you could play as him in some of the old Spider-Man games, but play as like the Green Goblin. That would be really cool. Um, and then I think going back to the hero, um, tie in Doc Strange. I mean, Doc Strange is based out of New York as well, to my knowledge.
Mhm.
And the portal mechanic could be really cool. He's kind of tied into Spider-Man 2 as well, not spoiler alert, but like he's in there as well. So like the organic ties could already be made. And so I'm wondering if that could be like an easy, like not easy, nothing's ever easy, but like a another rendition in a already,
Mhm.
developed
Established
world.
world. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Just to take like a unique spin because Doc Strange obviously has some very unique mechanics to him, especially that have been explored within like Marvel Rivals, for example.
Mhm.
So just think that would be cool as well.
Yeah, Doctor Strange would be a good one
For sure.
for sure. You
Cool.
could almost do like side quests where you're still a doctor.
Yeah. True. Good. That would be awesome. Sweet.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one, Beast of Reincarnation. This one is coming out on August 4th by the developers Game Freak, which, yes, those are the folks known for Pokemon. And they're making a different type of game here. I was doing some pre research on this game because honestly, I don't know very much about it, but from the description on the Steam page, they're coining this one as an action RPG with a fusion of real time and turn based action RPG, thinking maybe they might steal some mechanics from Expedition 33 or something similar. So be interested to see how they adapt. As you guys know, you're listening to previous podcasts, I'm not the biggest turn-based RPG person, but Gavin is. But if
Mhm.
they do something unique where it's going to be real time slash turn based, I think I'll be in for this one as well. But they're basically saying experience the innovative one person, one dog action RPG in this beautiful yet harsh world of Beast of Reincarnation. And so I think this one especially caught my eye because Game Freak is developing this one. This is obviously not what they've done in the past with
Yeah.
Pokemon. So this is like a very, very harsh pivot for them. But I'm rooting for them because I think they obviously do have some other chops outside of just Pokemon. So this is giving them the, creative liberties to take on a brand new IP and maybe create a really cool world around it. So I'm positively skeptical about this one, but just because Game Freak isn't involved and this isn't necessarily true to their genre or form that they're usually going for. But they do know how to do RPGs and also turn-based RPGs, just not like this. So interested to see how they adapt it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like even though it's different than what they normally done, I feel like they've earned enough public
Mhm.
trust to be able to like put out this type of game at least and
100%.
like for people to buy it just because like, oh, Game Freak made it. Like, yeah, it's a little bit different than what they normally make. I think it looks awesome. Looks gorgeous. Like if you're able to watch the trailer, if you're not if you weren't watching along with us, there's one point where the character is has a tear running down their face and it looks real. Like I wanted to reach
Mhm.
up on the screen and wipe it away. Like it looked that good.
Mhm.
The Yeah, it almost kind of looks like it gives me the vibes of like a Monster Hunter, like where you're
Yeah,
like running
I could
around
see
killing
that.
beasts and stuff.
Yep.
And then like it looks like you're gaining powers from certain things and like you're jumping around like using vines to push into the ground to like push you up a little bit higher and then you drop down on them and assassinate. Like it looks like there's going to be a lot of creative liberties that are given to you to kind of fight how you execute fights however you want to, which
Mhm.
seems pretty sweet. I mean, obviously it's only a time or a short time on the trailer, but it didn't really seem like there's too much turn-based thing. So I'm interested to
Yeah, I
see
don't know.
if that
Yeah,
happened. Like if there is turn-based, how's that going to work? Because it almost looked to me like a free hack and slash type of game style, and that looked fun. And
agreed.
it looks gorgeous. I'm ready to dive into the story already. Like it looks like it's going to be pulling on all your emotional heartstrings. Like they're gonna be able to do. And all I know is if anything happens to that dog, I'm gonna riot because that dog. That's a big, cute dog. Um, but yeah, it looks cool. It's the name kind of like the name. It's a well named game because the name intrigues me. Like, ooh, what does this mean?
Right.
Like it sucks you into the story just a little bit, and I can't wait to that. Or it's August 4th, I think, is the release date. Can't wait to sink my teeth into this and put some hours in.
For sure. Yeah. And to your point, Gavin, I don't know, like everything we've seen from like the gameplay trailer, it is interesting that they're coining this as also a turn-based combat
Mm-hmm.
game. I'm wondering if there's a certain component with the wolf or like the dog. Maybe that's where that turn-based component comes in where like he can only attack so often or he or she. And maybe the rest of it's like, free flow hack and slash.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. So,
Yeah.
or maybe it's both.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that ends up turning out because, like, I don't know, it looks cool. And I mean, if this means anything to you to further your interest in it, I'm scrolling on the Steam page right now, and it shows similar games to ones you've played, and it shows Expedition 33 is as a similar game. So your it feels like your some assumption on that front is correct.
Sweet. Awesome. Yes, I love Expedition 33. I doubt selfishly that it will be as good as Expedition 33, but I'm hopeful. How's that?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. The one that you guys probably knew we were going to talk about. I mean, it's the elephant in the room. It is GTA 6. This one's coming out and supposedly November 19th. There's always been some kind of scuttlebutt around this with things happening basically every week with something random, like finding new things in the story, getting new gameplay trailers. I think there's been two like official gameplay trailers that have been released so far. What we know so far about this game though is that there's two protagonists, one female, one male. It's unclear if you're going to play as both of them. I would assume you probably will. But I believe, keep me honest on this one, Gavin. I didn't get a chance to type up notes on GTA 6 specifically, but I think this is where they're going back to Vice City, correct?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It should be fun. Haven't been back since Vice City,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, if this game ever comes out, it's been a joke. It's been a running joke in the gaming community of things that have happened before GTA 6 comes out. So, like, here's an example when we just talked about Game Freak creating a non-Pokemon game happened before GTA 6. Like, it's been how long since GTA 5 came out?
I think it came
But
out in
yeah.
2015,
Yeah.
maybe even earlier than that. Let's see, because I remember it came out in my college era days, so I just look up
Yeah.
GTA 5. 13.
Yeah.
Um,
It's been 13 years.
yeah, insane. I do think with Rockstar's pedigree, they do typically make really, really good games, not only in the GTA series, which they've been obviously well renowned for, but also the spin-off series of Red Dead Redemption that's done really well as well. So they obviously have the pedigree to bring about a very influential, let's say, game.
Mhm.
And I'm excited to see what they do that will be unique for this one. Cause I think at the time, one thing that Grand Theft Auto 5 did when it came out was the unique mechanic of almost feeling like each of the three playable characters had their own lives that they were living when you were playing as one of them. So,
Mhm.
like, you would play as Michael and you would zoom out and play as, what's his name? Trevor.
Mhm.
You'd pivot to Trevor, and Trevor's doing something crazy in his trailer, like he's getting wasted or something, and you get to play as him. And like, I think the unique mechanic of them all doing like living their own unique lives, and you can bounce between the three. That was a really, really cool mechanic that I wish more developers would take on. But I'm interested to see how they adapt something like that that was so unique in 2013 to now upgraded technology within 2026 and make it something unique too. So lots of pressure on Rockstar to make sure that this is a good game. I don't think that they'll struggle with this. And I think one thing I'll give Rockstar credit for, knowing how much pressure is on the line for GTA 6, they have not been shy about moving the release date, which I actually personally appreciate. Like, don't release something in a state that you're not proud of. We've talked about this at length with like Cyberpunk 2077. That was an absolute dumpster fire when it released, as far as like not the game itself, but like from a performance perspective. And so I really appreciate the fact that Rockstar has taken the care and time that this one needs to fully bake in the oven. Because quite honestly, whether you're a gamer or you're not, you know what GTA is. And most
Yeah.
gamers that are, let's say, not hardcore like you and I would consider, Gavin, like we're definitely a little bit more plugged in than most people are. I feel like Grand Theft Auto is such a household name and that this will really bring people out of the woodwork to play. Like going back to Pocopia with, I think you said like, what, 2 million in sales over 4 days or something, 2
Yeah.
million
Two
copies.
2.2 million, which is
Yeah.
insane.
Which Rockstar will probably bring in 10 times that. Like, I highly doubt that they're not gonna, you know, encroach on like the 10 million copies within a week sold. Like I would be shocked if they don't, just because of how much clout this game already has behind it and how much hype's around it. So all that to say, like I'm
Yeah.
glad that Rockstar is taking the time to make sure that this is fully baked. Again, it's slated to be released in November this
Mhm.
year, but we've heard this before, right? So take that with a grain of salt. Again, I think the good thing is Rockstar does care about this, and so they're going to make sure
Mhm.
that they're going to put the best game possible into the hands of the consumer, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest gripe with it is and potential setback is if they push it back too much, it might like damage the initial at least initial buy of the game. People might be more hesitant to get it because it's like, well, you keep pushing it back. Why should I even get it? I do think it is probably a good thing that they're like it's kind of a good sign. I mean, it's a bad sign because it's not ready, but it's a good sign that they're pushing it back because they're acknowledging the fact that they don't want to they don't want to like you said they don't want to put it out not cooked. They don't want to give people food poisoning for an
Right,
undercooked
exactly.
meal. So like
Yep.
I kind of like it, but at the same time it's like what obviously we're not game developers, but like what could be going so wrong that you need to push it back this hard. So I don't know. Not that I don't enjoy the GTA games. I might wait to get this one when it finally does drop. I might not get it right away just because not out of like spite necessarily, but more just because like
Don't want to be burned.
yeah, like
Yeah,
I I really liked GTA 5, but I didn't like the direction that the game took where it went to like strictly online play and it's like I don't
I
care
know.
like
Yeah,
I don't play GTA to get the online experience. Like I have games that I play that for if I want to play them online. Like I have my games for that. I play GTA 6 or the GTA series in general to play like this
the
crazy good
story.
story where you get to like do some criminal stuff and you get to like cathartically act like what it would be to be like a criminal. Like cuz this may sound crazy, but I'm not a criminal in my everyday life. So it's fun to, like, get
Live
that
out
out
that
of your
pipe
system
dream.
almost, yeah, like, almost get it
Yep,
out of your system. So, yeah, so I want it for the story. I don't care about online. I know, like, every game has to have online, whatever.
I
Like,
know.
get over yourself.
Shouldn't be the focus though.
If the game is good enough, people won't care that it's online that it's not online.
Right. No, I agree with you. And I think I will absolutely agree with the sentiment of like I've been burned by some pre-orders in my gaming life, and I almost don't pre-order anything anymore unless it's like a couple weeks out from release where like I know that most companies, if you're within that, let's say 1 to 2 week range or a month out, typically speaking, they don't move the release date. I mean, there's been probably some edge cases on that, but I don't like to pre-order things ahead of time because of exactly that, Gavin. Like I don't want like a sunk cost to go into me pre-ordering the game when I don't know when I'll actually reap the benefits of my investment, if that makes any sense. Like one game specifically, I think it was called Metal Gear Rising. That was the game where they introduced like the hack and slash mechanic. I can't remember who
Mhm.
exactly the character is, but you probably know what I'm
I
talking
know what
about.
you're talking about, yeah.
They were gonna release this, and this was one of the very first games I ever pre-ordered. I wanna say it was, like, in 2009 to 2012 range. I could be completely off on that, but it was, like, where I had my own money and I could actually invest in gaming for a little bit.
Mhm.
I had purchased that as a pre-order, and it was supposed to come out in, like, let's say, April. Um, and it didn't come out, and I'm, like, thinking back, I'm like, "Wait, where is that game?" This was before, like, there was a lot of, like, hype around video game reporting, or at least I just wasn't into it that much quite yet, and I found out that they had delayed the game by, like, a year, and I'm like, I already paid you like $60. Like, where's my game? You know, like I was almost like really pissed about it. And so, like, ever since then, I've been very skeptical on pre orders. And like I mentioned in the previous episode, I did pre order Crimson Desert, but I do know that it's coming out this week and inevitably it will be in my hands soon. So that's how I'm able to like rationalize it. But I
Hmm.
agree. I think like for games like GTA 6 that have been pushed out so many times, probably doesn't make sense to pre order quite yet. And really for Rockstar, there's no downside to people not pre-ordering it because, I mean, it's
People are
just a
gonna buy the
behemoth.
game.
People are gonna
Yeah.
buy the game inevitably anyways, right? So, just because of how
Yeah.
much cloud's behind it.
The way I look at pre-orders for me is like if it's something I know for a fact I'm already gonna like enjoy, like or like
Mhm.
and buy, or it's a game that has an open beta, so like you
Yeah,
pre-ordering it allows you to still play the game. Like
right.
big example of that was Baldur's Gate. I was able like when if you pre-ordered it, you were able to play the closed beta for however long, like from when you pre-ordered it. So like that like giving you early access to the game. I'm okay with pre-ordering it because you're at least if for
You're
some reason it
getting
never
something
comes
in
out, you
return.
got to play. Yeah, you got to play it a little bit and stuff like that. So that's how I look at pre-orders. Yeah, I'm definitely not gonna be pre-ordering Grand Theft Auto 6. It's just yeah, like we've just talked about for the last 10-ish minutes, it's
A little volatile.
skepticism, optimist optimistic skepticism, I feel
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
So, we're being a little cautious on it, but yeah, hopefully it comes out November 19th. If so, holiday season will get crazy, but
for
we
sure.
will
Yep.
I'm not gonna hold my breath, I'll tell you that right now.
Nope, that's for sure. Cool, cool. All right. So we talked about the behemoth, the elephant in the room, GTA 6. We're going to now move on to Control Resonant. So no firm release date on this one, but those that are fans of the Control games, this is obviously kind of like the sequel to that. And so this is the next era of that series that was released back in 2019. This is not with that main character, Jesse. It's actually her brother, Dylan, which shout out, great name. It's the main protagonist in this one, and it looks like this is going to be more of a fast-paced action hack and slash type game in a
Mhm.
post-apocalyptic world, which those that might not be familiar, Control, the previous one was more there were special abilities that Jesse had, but it was mostly like third-person gunplay, I would say, for Control. Again, there's still some mechanics that were a little bit unique, but it was not hack and slashy whatsoever. I think the unique thing here with Control Resonant is that, as you can see, if you guys are tuning in with us on YouTube, the story in the world that you're set within is basically like in a post apocalyptic Manhattan, so New York. And the interesting thing here is that you can almost see that like Manhattan is basically folded up into a taco, essentially. So like the middle section is like where it would be, right? In normal day to day, like where it's flat. And then there's also the buildings on the side, and then it also kind of like caves in on each other. And
Yeah.
so the way that you navigate this world as Dylan is you almost have like a gravity rush component, as you can see via our YouTube viewers here, where you can basically change your perspective to tilt to where that building is. So, like, just for the folks that might not be able to tune in with us on the YouTube channel, to put this through like an explanation so you can kind of like visually tell this story in your brain. It basically would be like, let's say you're looking at the Empire State Building in New York, and obviously it's vertical, right? You can't climb up it. And so what it does is to change perspective, you're basically going to tilt it so that Empire State Building is on your floor, basically, and the street that you were just standing on is now like a wall. And so you kind of navigate through the world that way. It looks like Dylan also does have the ability to kind of fly around a little bit, but people that have played like Gravity Rush in the past, where you can kind of control gravity to change perspectives and change where your body goes in the world, it's very similar. At least that's what it feels like right now, based off what we've seen so
Yeah.
far. But excited about this one because I'm not necessarily a third person shooter type. I'm more of a first person shooter if it's going to be a shooter at all. This is a lot more hack and slashy, almost like Devil May Cry style. And so excited to see what they can do with that old, like, you know, control world in a new lens with Dylan in
Yeah.
this game.
The vibe I was getting, a way to describe it, another way to describe it for the users or the listeners on like Spotify and Apple and whatnot, or if you're driving and can't watch, it almost looks like Inception when like everything folds on top of each other, and
Hmm.
then the way you're moving reminded me of Super Mario Galaxy when you're jumping
For
from
sure.
planet to planet, because it almost looks like when you jump onto a different plane, like to change your like where your floor's at, it almost looks like there's like localized gravity. So once you get close enough, it sucks you into that gravity, so you're able to just like maneuver it, and it might be able to be controlled, but it looks like that was where my brain went initially on seeing that and how it worked, and like another way to explain it for those that aren't able to watch this trailer with us. But yeah,
For
it felt
sure.
like a Super Mario Galaxy mixed with Inception.
Hmm. Yeah. No, that's a good combo too. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would agree with that. Yeah, very cool. I'm interested to see this one because I never was like a big Control fan
Hmm.
necessarily. This is also the developers of Alan Wake 2, which I recently had gotten my hands on. Alan Wake 2 is also a very good game, a very unique mechanics. And so I'm interested to see how they take the success of Control, the success of Alan Wake 2, and then meld it into this one as well with kind of like a completely different style. And I will give them credit because obviously that's not what they're known for doing in terms of like hack and slash. So I'm interested to see like what their adaptation or take on that genre will be. So very cool.
Yeah, it looks fun. Like it looks fun and interesting. And I didn't play the first Control game, but it seems like it has a pretty good story to suck you in and get you to keep playing it. And it looks like it'll be a fun game to do. Sometimes those hack and slashes are just fun to just mindlessly turn your brain off and bash controller and kill enemies. But if you've got that plus a good story, that sounds like it's a very good like game of the year contending type game. So we'll
For
see if it
sure.
actually when it comes out, if it actually meets up to that hype.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds like a button masher specific game. So very cool. All right. Next one up. So Valor Mortis. This one is insane. I don't know how to explain this very well, but I'll do my best. This is supposed to be coming out in 2026. I hope it does. This one is from the creators of Ghostrunner, which is another game I never really got my hands on, but they do, from what I've seen, know how to do first person hack and slash type B games. This one is a first person action Souls like type game, which for those that aren't familiar with Souls like games, there's not a lot of first person type POVs in this genre. So I'm interested to see how that'll work. Most of the games that I've ever gotten my hands on with Souls like Lies of P, like Elden Ring, like Bloodborne, all of them are third person point of view, which kind of lends itself to a little bit more, let's say, maneuverability, for lack of better words. Like you can see what's coming around you and you have a little bit more of control on the things that might be attacking you from all angles. This is all first person. And so I'm interested to see how they'll keep up with the pace, also keep up with certain mechanics that the character will inevitably be able to do, maybe like some kind of magic system. We're not really sure. But as you can see, if you guys are tuning in on YouTube, you are basically like a Napoleonic army soldier where you can wield supernatural powers and you battle terrifying monsters. That's where like the piece of the Souls like genre comes into play. And so it just looks like a really unique game that I don't feel like a lot of people have done this type of art style or direction. I will say it's very realistic, but the world it's set within seems very unique with the Napoleonic era. Again, you can see it's a first person Souls like. So I'll just be interested to see, being a very avid fan of the Souls like genre, what they will do with a first person spin on it. So, Gavin,
Yeah.
any initial reactions to this?
Uh it's cool that they're doing that, like you said, the Napoleonic army type setting. Like that's not a setting that's often ever visited in a game. So it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see how they adapt that style and into like this like you mutant zombie like game. Like
Yeah.
it's very intriguing. Again, it kind of feels like looks like a little bit of like keep hashing on it, but it almost looks like another like BioShock ish,
Yeah.
because you're
Yeah.
like
With the first
you're
person
the
nature of it.
first
Yeah.
person, yeah, the first person nature of it, and like the gameplay where you've got the powers and guns, so you're running through and fighting off, different type of humanity or whatnot. But it looks interesting. At first, I didn't realize it was Napoleonic. I was thinking it was like Civil War because you had the blue and the gray, and I was wondering where that was going. And then like it did look very Napoleon esque. So then once you said that, it clicked for me. But yeah, this it looks pretty cool. Definitely, definitely one I'm interested in. Might not pick it up right away, but definitely one I'll look to see and maybe even watch some people play.
I was gonna say this one, especially if you're not a big Bloodborne or like Souls-like
Yeah,
fan, this would be an awesome game just to like watch Let's Play or
yeah,
anything like that. So for
yeah.
sure,
I'll probably end up watching Northern Lion play it if he plays it. So
cool. No, I like it.
yeah,
Very cool. Yeah, I think one thing that kind of clicked with me too, Gavin, when you said something about shoot, what did you say? Like that BioShock like game style, like with the abilities and things like that. It also reminds me a little bit of Dishonored. Have you ever played Dishonored before?
I have not. That is
Okay.
a game that I know of and have like I know what it's about. I just for some reason never played it.
Okay. Definitely recommend for those that haven't played it, put it on your list. I'm kind of shocked that I haven't put this on previous lists. I'm pretty sure I haven't, but Dishonored is a very good game. Similar POV, it's all first person, but you do have a mixture of like a sword with a gun, and then you have some, supernatural powers as well, which is why it reminds me of Valor Mortis and also BioShock. But also, like it's kind of like a melding of BioShock and Dishonored into a Souls like genre of game. So excited to see what this looks like. And I think, again, this being a first person Souls like is very unique because I don't know of another Souls like that's ever done first person. So that's what
Yeah,
caught my eye more than anything, not just the art style that Gavin
yeah,
and
for
I are
sure.
suckers for. Cool. Let's do a quick one here. Don't have too much to say, but this is a special shout out to our friend Kale, who loves Dynasty Warriors. I do too, as well.
Yeah.
But Dynasty Warriors 3 remaster, this was actually supposed to come out in March, but they did push it back to be released later in 2026. They don't have a definitive timeline on that, so kind of a bummer. But in my opinion, if you guys know what Dynasty Warriors is, it's one of the best in the series, Dynasty Warriors 3. There was a recent like rendition of a Dynasty Warriors series that came out last year that
Mhm.
some people have gotten their hands on and started to play. But I want to say the third one that came out in the series was the most iconic. This is
Well, it's the
where
classic. It's what you think of when you think of Dynasty Warriors for sure.
exactly, yeah, you're murdering like thousands of people. Your KO count goes up super high. You're fighting
Yeah.
Lupu. You're trying to get the red horse that he inevitably like comes in on.
Mhm.
Just iconic. Like, I think when I think back to, like, my gaming childhood, this is one of the games that I fondly look back to, and, like, 3 specifically was one of the most well done in my opinion. So excited to see what they'll do to kinda bring this back to
Yeah.
life.
And I feel like this will have to come out this year. It's 25th anniversary, so like
Right.
it almost seems like they delayed it just to make sure it's like fully polished and ready to go.
Yeah.
Cuz like
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those things where like they're remaking it cuz obviously it's like the classic one and then you can't not have it come out the 25th anniversary year. So like I feel like it definitely will come out this year. Stinks
Sure.
that it
Yep.
already didn't, but yeah, this is like you said, this is what you think of when you think of Dynasty Warriors. Like you're running around on a horse with hordes of with armies, battling other armies. Trying to conquer the world. Like this is the quintessential Dynasty Warriors game.
Exactly, for sure. So excited to see that, and like Gavin mentioned, with this being the 25th anniversary, I'd be shocked if they don't come out with it this year. But I will say, PlayStation or not PlayStation, Pokemon just decided that they're going to do wins and waves in 2027. So maybe they'll do something subtle with this series, and then they'll make like the big remaster next year. We'll see. I don't know. They still did have obviously Pokopia that came out and has been a smash hit. So can't really say
Yeah,
anything.
and you got champions coming out in a couple weeks.
True. True. They're definitely doing stuff, but yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Next one and the last one that we'll talk about is Animusha, Way of the Sword. I'm not hugely plugged into Animusha. Gavin, did you ever play Animusha growing up?
I did not. This is a new game for me, whether or not it's
Okay.
new for everyone else.
Gotcha. Apparently, this is older IP that's just coming back. As we've mentioned in previous episodes, Capcom has been on a little bit of a streak here in terms of reinventing older IP. And Onimusha was one of those games I think came out in like the PS2 era. Don't quote me on that exactly, but it was kind of in that time frame. Capcom was obviously the one that brought this to life. But there is a new rendition called Onimusha Way of the Sword. So this is similar to Phantom Blade Zero. I think it's going to be an action RPG style game with Onimusha being the main character that you play as. And so I think this one will just be very fun. Not too much to say about it right now, just because there's not too much that we really know other than seeing gameplay. The gameplay does look smooth. It looks unique. It looks like, Capcom's firing on all cylinders again with a different type of game, as we talked about last time with Resident Evil. I think they're doing really good work with unique IP like this. So this also reminds me a little bit of, I want to say it's a mixture of like Sekiro as well as not necessarily Ghost of Yotei because I haven't played that, but Ghost of Tsushima. It kind of feels like that. Those two kind of art styles melded together is kind of what I'm getting the vibe of right now watching this trailer.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Excellent. Cool. Yeah, and like we said, Gavin and I aren't necessarily hugely plugged into Onimusha because like we just never got exposure to it as kids or gamers, but
Yeah.
it does look unique. I think I wanted to put it on this list just because I know there are several fans out there that do like this
Hmm.
this series and they'll be excited this is coming back. But also for me, selfishly, and I don't know about you, Gavin, I do like hack and slash type games, so this one caught my eye when that
Yeah,
that
every
came
once
out
in a
too.
while. Every once in a while, it's fun to dip your toes into that pool.
Cool. Excellent. Well, folks, that was the end of our look forward into 2026. Again, this was July through December, and obviously there's some rough release dates there with things like Control Resonant and Valor Mortis and some others there too that we just don't know that are probably going to come out later this year. But we wanted to just talk about the games that caught our eye, that we're excited about, that we think will be good. Obviously, keep in mind we're recording this in March, so it's possible that these get delayed to 2027. It's possible that they come out at release and they just graphically or performancely suck, like we've
Hmm.
seen in the past. Really rooting for that not to happen, though, selfishly. Um, but like we mentioned in the past, if there's anything that we missed that we didn't call out in 2026 that you're personally excited about, leave it in the comments. We always want to see what you guys are engaged with right now and what you guys are excited about too. Like what are the things that you would want to put on your wish list? And also subsequently to that, if there's anything that we talked about today that you guys want to put on your wish list, go ahead and do so. There's a lot of good games that we're all excited about with 2026, whether it's in the first half or the second half, and we'd love to hear from you guys. Last little plug here. Please be sure to like this video if you liked what we're doing here. Subscribe, please. We post new content every single week, usually on Wednesdays, and share with a buddy. We want to make sure that we continue to do this and share our love of video games to our gaming community. We feel like there could be a lot of negativity out there in the world, but really what Gavin and I are trying to do is just provide that special spotlight on games that we feel like deserve some extra attention, some extra love and adoration from us in the gaming community. But Gavin,
Yeah.
any last words before we wrap up our episode today?
Yeah, it was fun to take a look forward, and I can't wait to be completely wrong on like half of these games, and they're nothing like what I said. And then I can't wait for a couple games that we didn't talk about that'll just come out of nowhere
Exactly.
and put us on our butt and be like, "Why weren't you?" And then it'll be almost like, "Why didn't you talk about this game?" And can't wait for that. It's going to be an exciting year for gaming in general. Can't wait.
For sure. Awesome. Well, great, guys. Thanks for tuning in to this episode, and we will catch you guys in the next one.